Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I have a couple of fun fold cards I want to share with you. And actually, what I want to focus on is the interlocking mechanism for these fun fold cards. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have two different fun fold cards that I want to share with you. Now, these fun fold cards are gatefold cards. But what I really want to focus on in this particular video is to show you how to create an interlocking mechanism so that you can keep your fun fold cards closed. Now, the cards in this video feature the Cake Fancy stamp set from Stampin Up, and I am also featuring some of the Thoughtful Expressions dies. However, keep in mind you can use this technique that I'm going to share with you with any fun fold card and any supplies you have on hand. Okay, so first let's talk about how to create the base of this card. So I am just using a standard gatefold card. So I started with a 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece of white cardstock. So basically what you're going to do is score in at 2 3/4 inches and then again at 8 1/4 inches. So you'll have two sections here for this gatefold card that are 2 3/4 inches. So now I'm going to show you how I decorated this card. I need to decorate it first before I can show you the interlocking mechanism. So basically I just cut a variety of pieces of cardstock and designer paper. So I'm using some of the designer paper from the Lighter Than Air Designer Series paper pack. And all of these pieces are 2.5 by 4 inches. So I adhered one of the embossed pieces to the left side of the card front, and then the designer paper I adhered to the right side of the card front, and then I just opened it up and used the exact same pieces on the inside of the card. So the embossed piece I put on the left side, and the designer paper I put on the right side. And since we're on the inside section of the card, I cut two different pieces of cardstock. So I cut a piece of Highland Heather cardstock at 4 by 5 1/4 inches. So this is just going to go on the inside. And then I cut a 3 3/4 by 5-inch piece of white cardstock, and I just did a little bit of stamping on it. So basically I just adhered those two pieces together, and we will just put this on the inside of the card. Okay, so we are ready to add the interlocking mechanism to the front of this fun fold card. So as you can see, the card does not stay closed on its own. So this interlocking mechanism that we're going to put on here is going to help this card stay closed. So in order to create that interlocking mechanism, you're going to need a die set that has various layering shapes. So I chose to use the Thoughtful Expressions dies, but you can use circles or squares or whatever you want to use. So these particular dies are the two largest dies in the set. So I used the largest one just with a piece of Highland Heather cardstock. And then the next size I used with a piece of white cardstock, and I already have my image stamped on here. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to add some dimensionals to the back of the white piece. So basically, I just added this white piece to the purple piece with a couple dimensionals. So now here's how I created the interlocking mechanism. So I laid this on my card front and I kind of off-centered it a little bit. And then I took a smaller die from the set to add the birthday greeting. And this is the piece that's going to help keep this card closed. Because if I just add this, obviously, it's not going to stay closed. So what I'm going to do is actually slide this piece in between the two layers. So by doing that, when we adhere this piece and this piece to the card front, it'll keep this interlocking section here will keep this card closed. So let's go ahead and add some dimensionals to this particular piece first. Okay, so I added some dimensionals to the left side of this image because only part of it is going to get adhered to this left side of the card, or this flap right here. So I'm just going to add this, but I'm also going to hold this other piece in place so that I have enough room for both. So as I add the piece, I'm keeping this piece in place in between the two layers. So this piece is added, so that's added to our card. So now we can go ahead and add this piece. So let me add a couple dimensionals. All right, so I'm just adding a few dimensionals kind of on the right side of this piece, and I'm going to tuck it in here, and then I'm just going to push this down. So now you have the interlocking mechanism all in place for this card. So you can easily open it, and then to close it, you just have to tuck this piece underneath the two layers here on the card. And the last thing I did is just add a little decoration over here on this top part of our little closure piece. So you have a really fun card that opens as a fun fold, and then you simply tuck this back together to keep it closed. And of course, you can also create this card that I have here in portrait style. So this one is created in landscape, this one is created in portrait, but the concept for creating that interlocking mechanism is basically the same. The only thing I did differently on this card is I created the double layers using the greeting instead of the double layers using, the cake image. So I just have one die cut shape for the cake image, and then I have two layering shapes here for the greeting. So the cake actually tucks into the greeting here. That's how you create your closure for this one. Here, the greeting tucks in between the layers of cake. So it's the same concept, but it's just two different ways that you can use it. And then I just decorated the inside of this card just a little differently. Okay, so there you go. Now you have two different ways you can create an interlocking mechanism for your fun fold cards. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.